That's just life in the SEC West right there.
Yep.
And speaking of that, last thing for you, Adam, I really appreciate all the time you spent, but kind of the biggest eye catcher for me personally, I'm wondering if it surprised you, but you got Auburn, number 4, not in the SEC West. Well, yes, number 4 in the West, but your model's number 4 in the conference overall power rankings. You have them as a playoff contender according to your model. How big of a surprise was that to you once your model gave you that information?
It was. It was a little bit of a surprise. Auburn is another one of those teams that talent isn't an issue. They have a top 15 roster talent ranking, so talent is not an issue there. I love Brian Harsin as head coach. He knows how to handle a roster in which he's got more talent than his opponents on average, as he did that at Boise State in the Mountain West for the most part. I like the Mike Bobo hire. Mike Bobo is familiar with the SEC. He's a SEC lifer. He's been there in his entire career, whether that be at Georgia or at South Carolina. He knows the SEC, and he also hired Derek Mason as his defensive coordinator, which I think was a fantastic hire. People forget how good of a defensive coach Derek Mason is because he was at Vanderbilt. His years at Stanford were lights out, and even the defenses when he first got to Vanderbilt and was actually calling the defenses there were stingy, even with the talent gap that he had there. So I really like that staff. I'm anxious to see how they transition into SEC West play. And you know, the model has them in 3 toss-up games, and because it's kind of a transition staff, it's got them going 0-3 in those toss-up games, but they could go anywhere from 10-2 to 7-5. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them in double-digit wins their first season there in Auburn.
Yeah, and you mentioned how god-awful Chad Morris was. That was, of course, the offensive coordinator last year, and people always jump on me when I say, I think Bo Nix, don't write him off just yet. His coaches were Chad Morris and Gus Malzahn last year. There's nowhere to go but up for old Bo Nix.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Mike Bobo will get more out of him than those two were able to do last year, that's for sure.